So the mural?
So all of these murals, and they're double-sided, were geared toward a subliminal masking campaign. And because it looks like they've all been removed or destroyed, I no longer get to talk about them the same. This is Santana Hill, and there is El Faro, the lighthouse. Now, an interesting story about this city that has to do with this is back in the days of the indigenous, a couple was the leader of the tribe in this area, and the male was named Wyas and his wife was named Keel. Anyway, when the conquistadors entered the area and they lost to the conquistadors, Wyas made an arrangement with them to meet them at the lighthouse, except it wasn't there yet, at that area to exchange the treasure. But rather than be subjugated to the Spaniards, he took Keel several hours before the meeting, killed her and then himself. And so this is the Ecuadorian version of Romeo and Juliet, and the city is actually named after them.
Wow.
Wyas and Keel. This is one of the oldest charitable hospitals in South America. It's actually all of these mink green buildings in a cluster. It's huge, and as old as it is, it's actually really nice inside in lots of the areas. So here's an idea of the murals. Do you see the masks that aren't really masks but light? But the message is still there. Mask up. Very militant feeling.
Yeah, for sure.
Now we're going to pass this little chunk of hill, and as soon as we come off the other side of it, the beginning of the cemetery that I mentioned to you earlier begins.
Man, this is a long trip, eh?
Oh, it is. Like I said, this is like 25 minutes all around
the whole loop.
The whole thing. Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
It's a great way to see the city comfortably.
And it cost us $5
Yes.
for the two of us.
To go round trip.
Insane.
Yeah, exactly.
In Canada, it would be 10 times that.
At least, well, that much?
Oh yeah, Canada's
you know
stupid
what?
expensive.
You're right, and it was a long time ago, but a friend of ours treated us to a night at Phantom, and it cost us $60 for a rickshaw because she didn't know what she was doing.
Yeah. Canada is practically a broken country at this point.
I'm sorry to hear that. I miss the amount of time. When I left New York in 2005, I pretty much stopped visiting Canada because Tennessee was a little too far for a day trip.
Yeah.
This is actually a mechanical station, so there is no getting on and off here.
Yeah. It looks like at one point you might have been able to get on and off.
Well, like I said, this is actually like the electrical station that moves everything. So I'm sure workers do.
Right.
But this isn't a station for people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mountain covered in concrete trying to keep it on the mountain in the city.
Yeah.
Right? A football field in the middle of the city with its own little... I love how Americans stole the word football for a game that's played mostly with your hands. So, this is the beginning of the cemetery, and this thing is so big it wraps around this mountain. These are some of the original crypt buildings right below you.
These like cement buildings
These
here.
Cement
These
buildings
are crypts.
are literally hundreds of crypts.
Oh my god.
4 stories tall, 2 long aisleways.
So there's like tens of thousands of dead
Bodies in this cemetery that are hundreds of years old. Some of them are hundreds of years old. Some of the area was sold as private, and like this section, many of these are private family installations and have been here for centuries. Right?
Geez, it goes way over that way too?
And it goes all the way around the mountain.
What?
It's enormous.
Okay, so there's hundreds of thousands of dead people here in this
See,
complex.
look at just the number of crypts in the front of one of those.
Oh, so each one of those individual things is a body.
Basically a tomb, yeah.
Wow.
And then
Yeah,
this
see?
section is all these private, family-built, moneyed people installations.
Jesus Christ, this is
Isn't
weird.
it insane? I love this part of my tour. I can't show this from the ground.
No, you can't. This is wild.
Look at the number of spaces and how many buildings there are.
Shit. Yeah, that's a way more efficient use of space.
Isn't it?
So much more efficient. You can have bodies stacked like dozens high
Right, instead of one.
instead of one.
Instead of one.
Canada and the States are so dumb.
But again, the same thing that made us forested countries,
Yeah.
right? Everything here is cement. They don't have trees to cut down and build everything out of.
Yeah.
So we created from the world we took over a forested world that is now deforesting the planet. Because rather than change the money we created, because we no longer have the forest to support the buildings that we created.
Yep.
Welcome to capitalism, my friend.
Yeah.
You're a weird mix with that whole queen and controller shit. Well, I guess it's Prince Charles now, right?
Yeah.
You know what? Personally, I think they should have skipped right over his ass. He was too old to take the job seriously.
But he's good in
Is
ways,
he? I don't
too,
know
though.
anything about them, but
Like he's actually an environmentalist,
well, that's cool.
which for me is big because I'm very much an
Yeah, me
environmentalist.
too. Well,
So-
like I said, you're gonna want to watch that damn documentary then. It's called Buy Now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure I like it.
Yeah, there's some more murals coming up with that same masking messaging, and they're in the other direction as well. I just don't know how many of them are left. In the last 6 months, they seem to be finally bringing them down.
Zoom.
Zoom. So, some interesting things about Ecuador. It's literally where I think the word clusterfuck came from.
What? Really?
Well, here's why. They have a weird idea of a business model. See, Uncle Carlos opened a store to sell ceramic tile and he was successful. So every business around Uncle Carlos was another ceramic tile store. So straight ahead on this avenue, which is Avenue Quito, because it goes that way, there is a 6 square block area where every single business is selling ceramic tile.
Huh.
They have 90% identical stock, and what differentiates one from another other than price is the 10% they pick different.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Crazy. I know the easiest place to get a semi-washed is in a town called Santo Domingo because they use pumps to pump the river out onto the ground, and so it's all truck stop, truck stop, truck stop. Not like anything you'd recognize. It's just a dirt driveway with water spraying on the ground.
Oh yeah.
So again, masked firemen, and behind that, masked medical professionals. It really bothered me the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
Especially with the militant, hostile,
Yeah.
must have, even he's not militant, but you better. His body language is telling you everything.
Yeah, you better do it. And they,
Look, you want to live with the birds and the iguanas and the waves? Put a mask on or you'll die.
but hey, at least the iguanas and the birds don't have
Right?
masks on.
And like, look over here. Same thing.
More masks.
So we have to get off and get back on because that's how they count us in and out.
This is the end.
This is the end point, and then when we
Alright.
get back on, we'll pass where we entered and go across the river.
Well, this is a good time for me to pause the video.
I think.